I thought our guys did a good job in the middle of the week at Southern Miss. We let that first game get away from us, with the bullpen, but I thought the hitters did a good job. From there, we were able to come back the next day. I thought the guys did a good job of bouncing back after that and getting that job done. And then into the weekend, we've got our ERA down this weekend to under 2. So, that's what we have to do. We have to be able to pitch and keep the score down. We got the first 2 under our belt. The third one, we had a bunch of opportunities throughout the day, but I think we ended up 0-8 with runners in scoring position. So we never really could get the critical hit at the critical time. You'd like to have finished that off with a sweep right there by getting, 1 or 2 critical hits, but, we didn't get them. So, we got to move on. This will be a very busy week with 2 games with McNeese and Southeastern. Then from there, we'll board a plane, head down to App State for 3 down there. So we got a real busy week this week. But, again, it gives us a chance to get back out there and keep grinding this thing out. Questions?
What can Dylan Moore, if anything, do to get back closer to where he was before? And then also, in light of his struggles, how big is Stoelke's contribution been?
Well, again, Stoelke's really picked us up. He's a great story of working while you wait, have spent a lot of time here, going back and forth between hitting and pitching and continuing to hone his craft, and now he's been very, very good for us. And, with Demo's situation, that's just simply a situation where he had a little tear at the end of last season in his throwing shoulder, and he's rehabbed and done everything he can possible to try to get through it. It limits him a little bit. So, his location has to be better. His changing of speeds has to be better. And when you pitch one way, even guys in the big leagues go through this. Sometimes as they get a little bit later in their career, they have to pitch a little differently. And so he's continued to try to do that. He's done everything he possibly can for us and for himself to kind of drop his arm angle a little bit. And try to pitch a little differently than he's pitched in the past. But he's not going to quit. He's not going to give up, and we're not going to give up on him. But he's a little limited. But the limitation is out of really his control. He hasn't limited himself by turning something mental or anything. It's just he's a little limited in being who he used to be physically. And he's rehabbed everything and done everything he's could over the summer and this year, and continues to manage it and try to be as good as he can. So hopefully he can continue to, keep pitching and keep working, which he's gonna. But we've been very fortunate that Stoelke has been able to pick him up.
Did you have Stoelke pegged for what he's doing, or did you anticipate a different role for him at the start of the season?
No, we didn't know what Stoelke's role was. We thought, looking at the hitters that were coming back, we thought he might have an opportunity to play maybe in the outfield because he's such a great athlete. He could be one of our best center fielders. He's just such a great athlete. And then all of a sudden, when Gunnar decided to redshirt, and then we saw Demo had the little tear coming out of last season, we started kind of matriculating a little bit more to him pitching. So we kind of put more emphasis in the pitching, and he kind of got off the weightlifting with the position players and flipped over to the weightlifting with the pitchers. And then once he started kind of training as a pitcher every day, we knew he had the talent, but he had spent a lot of time being a hitter. And it's different. That's why it's so tough. You don't see many dual guys. I know the kid that's with the Angels right now is an exception, but you just don't see a lot of dual guys, and a lot of that is not because they can't do it, but how tough it is in their body, because the pitchers are training one way and the position players are training another way. So when you get into a dual guy, it becomes very difficult because they almost have to be some type of hybrid in their training. And swinging that bat every day, 100 times is almost like throwing a baseball. So when you do that as a hitter and you're still trying to throw, or you're doing that with a sore arm, it becomes very, very difficult. So when he kind of matriculated over just straight pitcher, that's when I think he started to get really good at honing his craft. And so it was kind of a mixture. We had always gone back and forth with him. We liked him on both sides, but we felt that once Gunner went down and once we saw Demo over the summer rehabbing, we went ahead and just eventually kind of moved him to a pitcher. And now he's got a chance to be drafted. I mean, we have a chance to have 6 pitchers drafted. And he's one of the 6. So I'm hoping that baseball pays him back the 4 years of working while he waited. You know, we say that all the time. People think that's just a line, but it's really not. And it would be a great story for him to have that opportunity for having put all this time in, you know, with very minimal playing time. You know, it's easy to work when you get playing time. It's not easy to work when you're not getting playing time. And the one thing he's done a great job of he stayed working. So he's really done well for us, and he's picked Demo up, and he's picked us up too.
What's your pitching plan this week?
We'll see today. Every Monday we always meet in the afternoon after the pitchers do their voluntary work and see where all our soreness is, and then we'll make decisions on from there on who's sore. We got some young arms, so we've got to be careful with them. We don't want to overthrow people and overwork people, but we're going to have to, you know, piece these together and try to stay sensitive to their soreness, and then also going into the weekend too, of having three games on the weekend.
What can you learn from playing at Arkansas State? Maybe the environment is probably very similar to what you're going to get this weekend. How can you maybe take some of those lessons?
Well, you know, again, we'll be on the road. Game 1 for us down there, we let get away, so that's on us. Game 2, we weren't in the game. We didn't come back from that loss. We have done a better job of that coming off the Southern Miss game, of giving that game away and then coming back the next day and winning. So I think the big key is now that we've been on the road multiple times, I think hopefully we'll be more comfortable this time. You know, that was a long bus trip. This one will be a little shorter because we're flying into Charlotte and then busing into there. So the weather should be, you know, decent. So I don't see any issues there, as much as we have to just keep pitching like we did this weekend, keep our ERA down, and then this weekend we have a sweep if we just get a couple critical hits on Sunday. So I just think we have to, you know, take this 5-game week. That'll be the ultimate challenge, is trying to line up our pitching properly for the weekend, coming off of a Tuesday and a Wednesday game.
What can you take from the game earlier in the year in Lake Charles that maybe you can apply to tomorrow?
You know, usually the past is the past. You know, we pitched well that day, so that's the whole key to this. We played good defense and we got timely hitting. I mean, I know it. You know, those 3 lines don't make headlines all the time because we say them all the time, but really, it's you got to just stay focused on pitching and just playing good defense. And if you can do that night in and night out, I saw our defense is ranked, I think, 10th in the country right now. So, you know, that's really important. So now what we got to do is try to match pitching with that, like we did this weekend. We went in this weekend with an ERA under 2, so it leads to a series win. We didn't score a lot of runs as hitters, but you don't have to score a lot when you pitch and play defense. So that's what we did over there. So that's what we have to do, you know, over here. Tomorrow night we might have, you know, you never know, we might have a guy that's going to have a short start, so the bullpen will have to help out if we elect to do that. If not, just guys will have to come in and eat up their innings. If a guy's going to come in and throw 2 innings, we need him to manage his 2 innings so that we don't have to pull the next guy up to cover him up, so that we can try to keep our pitching aligned properly for the weekend.
And you played, obviously, both McNeese and Southeastern earlier this year. One, how big of RPI games are these? And then for 2, even though you played them, what makes each program threatening?
Well, the big thing is that every game's about RPI because RPI is important. I think we dropped 10 points yesterday with that loss. I mean, you know, that hurts. So I think RPI is important no matter who you play, especially when you play at home. You want to try to defend home to the best of your ability. Both those guys, those teams are both well coached. I respect both their head coaches. You know, they both a little differently. You know, one plays a little different than the other. You know, Southeastern plays a little different from McNeese, but for the most part, they're both well coached, and you're going to have to play 9 innings. So we've always worried about us. You know, I don't think Southern Miss did anything. You know, when we gave away that game, I think we did something. In Arkansas State, we gave the game away. I don't think Arkansas State did anything. I think we did something. So we have to handle us. In the first half, you know, we didn't do that good of a job. We're 3-1 in the second half, so we have to try to keep building. And the pitching has to, you know, stay consistent. The defense has been consistent. And then we've got to try to consistently, I think, get better with our hitters collectively. We did swing the bat well at Southern Miss, and this weekend we swung the bat okay, but you don't have to swing it great when you've got an ERA under 2. Disappointing that we didn't get somebody to step up and get a critical hit on Sunday with 8 chances. We got to be better there in that situation, especially at home. So, again, I think the big key is going to be the pitching. You know, one of them has a 5-game week. I think it's Southeastern. So he's going to deal the same thing we're going to deal. He's got to play Tuesday and Wednesday. We've got to play Tuesday and Wednesday. McNeese doesn't have to play Wednesday. So they get a little bit of an advantage there. But outside of that, hopefully we understand the importance as hitters to score runs because, you know, pitching's going to be unique in this 2-game series trying to get lined up for the weekend. So I think it's imperative that, you know, our hitters step up and score some runs in the middle of the week.
If you do want to move one of the midweek guys to the weekend, say Harris, just
Right.
for an example.
Right. It's a good example.
Can you afford to skip a start, or do you have to go short?
You'd have to go short, I think, and use it as a bullpen. But we would talk to him about that. We'll be meeting with the pitchers this afternoon, and I always confide in them and ask them, would you rather, if we do anything like that, we always will ask them, would you rather a bullpen, or would you rather, you know, the same amount of pitches but in some game action, so you can continue to get the field of how it feels to start. You know, a bullpen's one thing. You hang a breaking ball in the bullpen, it doesn't go into pine trees. But you do it in a game, it does. So sometimes we like the bullpens to be live and for them to continue to get the feeling of going out there and starting a game. Even though you might only work 2 to 3 innings or 35 pitches or something, at least you keep getting the feeling of starting. But we always confide in the pitchers, especially the older guys. We normally tell the freshmen what to do because they don't have enough information yet. The older guys, you know, when you sit with Gunner and Demo and Hogan and some of those guys, as you start to become a veteran, we start to treat you like a veteran. And we talk things out a lot. So like Nick Lee, you know, we would talk those things out. Perrin and Batty right now, we're kind of guiding them. But eventually they'll have some say-so because they'll ultimately be veterans and they'll have enough under their belt to be able to talk back to us. Hogan's been in it enough. So you always want to kind of sit with them and say, hey, you know, how you feeling? How are you recovering? Some guys are slow recoverers. Recovering as a pitcher is gene related. So if you're a slow recoverer, you're going to stay a slow recoverer. If you're a fast recoverer, you're going to always be a fast recoverer. That's why we never want the fast recoverers playing catch with the slow recoverers because they'll push them too much. We want the slow with the slow and the fast with the fast. So all of them recover differently. So you have to take that into consideration where one guy might be good after 3 days rest, but another guy might need 5. So he wouldn't be a good candidate maybe for a short start or something. So you got to kind of talk all that out and see how they feeling. You got to take into consideration, you know, the guy's coming from an oblique strain and a displaced rib, and you know, so there's a lot of things to take into consideration. He's got a future ahead of him, and you know, you really want to handle these pitchers accordingly because they do have a future beyond here. 6 of them could be drafted, and the last thing you want to do is play around with their arms and put them in some dangerous setting, you know, just to try to win a baseball game. I think you need to confide in them and make sure that they're good with the plan, So we'll talk everything out, and that's hard to do after a game because I don't know where their soreness is on Sunday after the game's over. You know, they've got to get some rest. They got to get up the next day. We can't really touch them on Mondays because it's their day off, so we can't go out there. They have to go do all their throwing and their running on their own, and they have to come back and see us in the office because if I come out there, that's an NCAA violation. So I have to let them go do it all and then come back and talk to me. And that's where you have to trust what they're telling you, and then who's trying to be John Wayne. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, oh, I'm good. Some of them, they're all good. I mean, Batty's good every day. I mean, no matter, he can throw 70 pitches one night and come to you the next day and say, I'm good. But he gets you in trouble, too, because as a coach, I don't know what good means. So what we'll do with them is they'll play catch, they'll see how they feel, and sometimes they'll come to us and tell us, you know, I can do this in 2 days rest, I can do this in 3. And sometimes they'll say, hey, I'm a little sore, like Stoelke. You know, Saturday he says I'm a little tender, but I can go if you want me to. And I said, no, we're not going to do it. We're always going to try to err on the side of the pitcher or the position player. You never want to injure somebody over a game. And we knew that he was coming off, he had started his anti-inflammatory on Monday. We were lucky that it was nothing but just a little inflammation. So by Monday to this weekend, that anti-inflammatory was probably starting to kick in for him. He felt better. So that's why I thought the game was on the line on Sunday. I thought the way we were scoring, if they got ahead of us, we were going to be maybe done. So I went with Stoelke and tried to see if I could outrun it and see if we could get one run and 6 outs. And we had it. We just didn't get the critical hit at the critical time. And then I told him, you're done, you know, because he was coming off a little bit of inflammation. There was no reason to, you know, ride him out to 50, 60 pitches because we need him for the long haul. So, yeah, we'll check into all the arms, and then we'll try to align everything properly according to their rest and their soreness.
Coach, can you talk about just Gavin Bourgeois, how he's been able to just be so versatile for you in the lineup, how important that's been?
Well, again, he's had a good junior college career, and I've said it before, he's one of our tougher kids. I've always said this, tough times don't last, just tough people. And he's a tough kid. So he's been very consistent for us, the top of the order. We just need, you know, to collectively try to get better. Nobody's been good with one hitter or 2 hitters. You know, the best teams, they're good because they're good collectively. And sometimes you can maneuver through our lineup, and we've got to continue to shore up those holes and get some guys, hopefully, maybe that weren't hot early in the first half, to try to get them hot in the second half. But he's been really good. He's been consistent. If you look at their splits, you know, what they hit off left, what they hit off right, what they hit on home, what they hit on the road. He's the most consistent guy in the lineup. His splits are all good. They're not like, you know, 100 versus lefties and, you know, 350 versus righties, or 3-something at home and $150 on the road. He's been very consistent, and he's been really a good mainstay at the top of our order, and he gives you great defense too. And he's a weapon on the bases. He can run too. So he's been very good, very good. We just need to get hopefully everybody together collectively and get some guys to hopefully get hot and have a good second half. It happens in the big leagues. I mean, guys have had bad halves in the front half and been very good down the stretch in the second half. I mean, you look at what the guys doing in the Nationals right now. Harper, I mean, he's killing March and April, man. I mean, killing it. So some guys, it's funny, some guys hit in the big leagues in certain months. Some of them hit in certain ballparks. It's a unique thing, and hopefully we can get some guys going for this second half.
You brought up Nick Hanks. Is he in an emergency only situation, or
we're going to try not to take? More than likely, we're in discussions with that. You know, we didn't want to pull his red shirt. you know, I don't know how ready he is, but it is an emergency situation. You know, Facher's caught like his senior year, but he did because they kind of didn't have a catcher potentially, whereas Nick has caught for 4 years in high school as a catcher. And once we saw we were going to redshirt Handsome, then we went ahead and moved him up onto the 35-man roster. And we had kept that roster spot open to see if we would have to redshirt Handsome. And all the indicators right now, unless something changes over the next 4 to 5 days, look that we will redshirt Handsome and let him have the same surgery on his elbow that Gunner had on his.
Coach, Daniel Lahaire's beard, did you make him shave that off, or he had a crazy beard and I saw him the other day and he was clean shaven?
Well, they're all clean shaven. What we actually did was, once we got closer to the second half, we kind of just said, hey, we're going to wipe the slate clean, you know. So wiping the slate clean means, you know, get clean shaven. So wasn't punishment or anything. I don't think somebody having facial hair makes them a better hitter or a worse hitter. We just kind of wanted to do something collectively as a group, as a team, saying that, hey, we're all in, and you know, we're wiping the slate clean and going back to work. And who knows, you know, they can earn them back maybe down the stretch.
If ball hits a 2-run double yesterday, who's catching?
Probably Nick.
Oh, no.
Because once we have to go to it, then now what we can do is we can also get in a situation where, you know, like at Arkansas State, where you got a game that's out of hand. I hope we don't get into many of those, but you'd surely like, in that kind of freezing cold weather, down, you know, 14 to whatever, to try to rest that guy or not have that guy get injured in that game. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, if he ties the ball game up, we'd have went to Nick.